Hello, I'm Pamela Davis. Welcome to episode 81 of the Well Done Life podcast. Hello, and welcome back to episode 81 of the Well Done Life podcast. I'm your host, Pamela Davis. If you're new here, hey, how are you? Thank you so much for joining us this week. I really hope you stay a while. If you've been here before, you guys know I love you deep. I am so glad that you are continuing to support me on the journey. Thank you for coming back. So before we dive into this week's episode, I want to make sure that we do some housekeeping things to set this off right. I feel like we're building a house, and actually we're building a safe space. So I want to make sure that our safe space is built on the right things. And personally, I always feel like clarity and love are the best things to build a house on. So let's start with clarity. With clarity, I want to make sure that I let you guys know why you're here. The Well Done Life podcast is a podcast for women. I created this podcast to be a safe space where women can come together, share our stories, and hopefully we can learn and grow from each other. I really do believe women are the foundation of society. And I think we need more places where we talk about the good, bad, and ugly things that make up life. So that's what this is all about. And I just continue, like I said, to welcome you and appreciate you for coming into this space. So now that always transitions to my favorite thing. Let's talk about love. You know, love is the thing. So with love, I want to make sure that I am sending you each prayers because I think, one, more of us need to pray for each other. This world is nuts, y'all. We need each other. And then two, I just want you to know that you are supported. And like I said, that's what safe spaces are all about, support. So please know and accept my prayers this week of peace, happiness, love, mental and physical health, prosperity, and just empathy, and hope that your week is just filled with everything that you desire it to be. So I think we're off on a good start. That leads me into kind of my first topic. I want to thank you guys first and foremost, before we even dive in further to this week's episode, for the acceptance and moments and support of me taking a break. Yep, last week I just wasn't feeling it. I was having way too much adulting with work and just with life, and the world is just so noisy, and I'm an empath. And so as an empath, that means that I just have to take moments sometime where I sit my butt down and get clear. But hopefully I left you in good hands. I referred everyone back to episode 80, Unending Abundance. And if you haven't had a chance to take a look at it or listen, I would recommend that you do, of course. Unending Abundance, because I really do feel like this is a season of that. We are in this time. Even though the world is crazy, I really do feel like God is setting us up for our next level, for just infinite blessings. And this is an opportunity for us as we are in preparation for these new levels where we have to, just make sure that we are prepared to receive unending abundance, which kind of goes hand in hand with why I needed to take a break. Because like I said, I was feeling overwhelmed and I just needed to kind of sit down. But in actuality, I was also motivated by a post that I saw on social media. Yep, good old social media got me. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who does this. But of course, I scan Instagram before I go to sleep at night, just kind of scrolling through. And I happened to see a post from Meagan Good. And if you don't know who Meagan Good is, she is the wife of Devon Franklin, and she's an actress. And this post that she had just stopped me right in my tracks. And I'm going to read it to you. The post says, "I will never have this version of me again. Let me slow down and be with her." And it's funny because I saw it at the exact moment that I decided that I just needed to take a break. I wasn't ready to pod, and I just needed to kind of get quiet with my thoughts because there was just so much going through my head. But when I saw that, like I said, the thought of sitting down and actually spending time with me and being with myself, my true self, I said, you know what? That's a message. That's something that I definitely need to take in. And kind of again setting the foundation, because if y'all, if you're new here, you don't know, but if you have been here before, you do know, I do believe in being very intentional, and I love to lay the foundation. So one of the things for me is that I am truly one of those waist bead wearing, sage burning, Jesus loving China chicks. I always pay attention. And I do believe that the universe and God and your ancestors and all of those things give you lots of messages. So that was a message for me because I did. At that point, I needed to sit my butt down and get quiet and spend some time with myself, with my thoughts. But then when I realized about the thought of getting to know myself, like letting myself be with who I am in this moment, I said, that's extremely powerful because how many of us are really taking the time to be with ourselves? And when I say that, it's not about self-care Sundays, because believe me, I do believe in those as well. Or even another episode that I talked about romanticizing your life, because I do believe in doing that too. I buy myself flowers every couple of weeks, because I believe those simple things really help build who we are as people. But actually sitting there and being with ourselves. Because to me, when you are sitting there and you're being with yourself, that means that you are communing with who you are right now in this particular space and time. Because, like the post said, we will never be this woman again, this moment. And so it made me think, who am I in this particular moment? And how am I really feeling? Yes, I'm feeling overwhelmed because of work and all of those things. I think all of us feel all of that all the time because, like I said, it's crazy out in these streets and we all have families and jobs and all other kinds of obligations. But if I were to sit back and peel all the stress and all of those craziness off of who I am in this particular moment in time, I am just completely awestruck at the woman that I have become. And I think a lot of you are probably would feel that way if we sat and thought about who we were. Because when you sit with yourself, like I said, that means that you are looking at who you are right now in this moment. You are looking at the good, the bad, the ugly, and examining who this woman is and spending time with her so that you can learn from her. That is very powerful because romanticizing our lives and self-care Sundays are all about treating who we are. And yes, we should do those things. But as I mentioned earlier, we are in a season of abundance, unending abundance, and a season of preparation for that unending abundance. So you have to be able to sit with who you are, the good, the bad, and the ugly, so that you can be in preparation, because all of those things are in preparation for that unending season of abundance. So you got to be prepared for what you're going to hear, what you're going to uncover, because yes, we have lots to celebrate. And as I sat and thought about it this weekend, I did feel very blessed to be where I am right now, because I can tell you firsthand, I am not the woman that I was 2 years ago. And very rarely, probably, if I were truly being honest, I don't even feel sometimes the same way I felt 2 months ago. I feel like I'm evolving. But again, that's part of my journey. Like I've been very clear with you guys, I am in a season of preparation and I recognize it. So, and I can tell by just where my mindset is shifting. Because even as I sit, like I said, I'm very grateful for the woman that I am. I'm very happy to see the work that I've done because I have changed and I am continuously changing. I have to give first and foremost all gratitude to God for getting me through that person I used to be. The person who was just so focused on trying to please other people, who I sought validation from other people because I wasn't comfortable in who I was as a person, and I don't feel that way now. And I think a lot of women are on that journey as well, to finding who you are and accepting who you are and claiming that side of yourself. And we should be commended because it takes a lot of work to get past the hurt and the self-doubt that can make you seek validation from other people. But it's a work all the time. It's like it's a constant process of work. And with that, it can get very discouraging and you can get down on yourself. But so sitting with yourself and being able to give praise and reverence for who you are right now and the work that you've done is a necessity. And it is so important because it will continue to fuel you on this journey, especially as we are trying to get to our next level, because we all know that there's going to be lots of challenges on this level. It's not like it's just going to be smooth sailing. You're going to constantly have things come at you and come against you, and you have to be prepared to deal with that. And a lot of times it can get very frustrating to the point where you want to give up. But remember, like we've discussed in episode 80, when we give up, all we do is delay the promise. It doesn't mean that the promise goes away, but we delay it. So if this, because it still is always going to be our season. So if this is our season, then we know we can't afford to allow our mindset to shift back so that we delay the blessing, because we know that we're ready and this is our time for it. And so with that, that means that you also have to not just celebrate where you are right now, but you have to flip the coin. That means you have to get real with who you are when you are sitting with yourself, because that's always got to be the other side of it. It's not always celebrating the good. It's not always the self-care moments and the romanticizing your life, because if you don't allow the coin to flip, and if you don't deal with the sides of yourself that need work, that need to be examined, then all you're going to do is wind up in a situation where you are just thoroughly massaged and you have tons of flowers and beautiful things around you, but you are an empty shell because you have not done the work that's necessary to help you receive the abundance that you're looking for, because you're caught up in the wrong thing. So, and let me say that again, if you don't deal with the other side of yourself, the sides of yourself that need to work, the uglier sides of yourself, then all you do is allow yourself to get caught up in self-caring and romanticizing your life, and you wind up a shell who is very well massaged, surrounded by a whole bunch of nice things, but you're not closer to what your blessing is. You're not closer to your abundance because you haven't done the work to get there. You haven't addressed the other sides of yourself that need work. And so as I was sitting this weekend and relaxing, I was thinking about that. And I have been thinking about that a lot. It's funny, I find myself right now in this season where I don't want to watch as much television as I used to watch. Now, don't get me wrong. It doesn't sound like, I know you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, she's coming home every night and just reading all these affirmational books, da da da. No. I am still watching Real Housewives of Potomac, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I still get my Ratchet TV fix here and there because I do have an obsession with it. And of course, Marvel and all those other great things that make me happy. I'm still getting those things in, but I have found myself now prioritizing taking time to read more. Like, I have made it a priority that every night I read, and I am just going through all these books. And it's funny because all of the books really detail a lot about the journey of women and our impacts and our dealings with trauma, from generational traumas to, unfortunately, abuse traumas, relational trauma, and just how these women were able to come through. Like, I just finished reading The Love Song by W.E.B. Du Bois, by Honorée Jeffers, which is a wonderful book, and I definitely will share more details about it. It's a lot. As I talked about in one of my last episodes, it's like 700 pages, but it definitely is a beautiful book, and it details and shows the patterns of generational trauma and how these women were able to overcome it. And then now I am reading Unbound by Tarana Burke, and Tarana Burke is the woman who is the founder of the Me Too movement, and her journey, and how, she has dealt with her traumas as well, and how she has turned her healings into being able to help other women find their power. So I feel like I'm in this journey where I'm learning it. And as I'm learning, I am reflecting on my own traumas. I am reflecting on the journeys that I still have to take in regards to healing myself. I've done quite a bit of work with my work being not just through my faith, but also I did spend many years in counseling. And I recently, even a couple of months back, was thinking about going back into counseling, because I just think it's so important to be able to have an outlet to make sure that I stay whole as a person, because it is very easy to get caught up in the cycle of life. And also the desire to please other people, that you lose yourself. So I like to make sure that I check in with myself often. But long story short, and short story long, I guess, I am, as a part of that, I really had to, I had to check myself. And one of those things that I think that I do a lot is I have constantly been one of those people that, sought validation from other people, and who did not recognize the confidence and the comfort in my own skin, in my own being. And I think as I have gotten older, luckily, that has changed, because that's one of the things I'm also reflecting on. I'm not going to be ashamed of the fact that I'm 48 years old. I look good for 48, y'all. And then I'm about to be 49. And as I get closer in, I've noticed into my 49th, and I'm even thinking now of my 50th year, I feel like I am now going to own even more of who I am and what I want to be. And I finally have learned that there is so much love and honesty, because before I was one of those people that spent so much time trying to be politically correct, to soften my words for other people so that they would always be pleasing and acceptable. But all I was doing is diluting the message and creating confusion, that I have now owned myself. I have owned my words. I'm owning my spirit. And I feel so much lighter, so much stronger, so much more beautiful because of that. And it is something that I work on all the time, because again, I do always, as a reformed people pleaser, I struggle with that, and I feel the need to kind of slip back in and want to please other people. But I'm learning more of who I am. And so I'm dealing with those sides of myself. I'm also dealing with the sides of myself that have, tried to make people love me, and make people see me. And the reason I did that is because I didn't see myself. So I have learned to recognize, and I'm healing and growing through that, so that I can have relationships that are loving, and that they are not where I feel the need to seek validation in them. They're loving because it is a reciprocal love. It's not a love that I have to conjure. It's not a love that I have to prove. And I think that there are a lot of women who are caught up in that. We get caught up in trying to make people love us. There is nothing that you can do in this world that can make someone love you. If they love you, they love you. If they don't, they don't. And their words and their actions will show you that. And I think for a lot of us, like I said, we don't sit enough with ourselves. We don't get quiet enough with ourselves so that we can recognize those sides of ourselves that need to be healed and fixed. It's unfortunate, and it's not anything that's a bad reflection of who we are. It's just a reflection of areas or maybe traumas that we have experienced in our life that make us feel like we have to treat people like that, like we have to be everything to everyone. And we don't recognize that by trying to be everything to everyone else, we are being nothing to ourselves. And so that's why I think also it is very important to be able to sit down with yourself and to be able to recognize that type of behavior so that you can learn how to move past it. And it's not easy. I mean, like I said, I'm still trying to deal with it. I have gotten much more better. Not much more better. I've gotten better on the journey about it, but it's something I constantly have to check myself about. And that's part of it. That's why I think it's also important to take that time to sit with yourself, because if you're not doing that, all you are doing is possibly creating a cycle of behavior where you are just constantly blind to the areas of yourself that you need to fix. And that's why it is very important to take moments where you sit with yourself, the good, the bad, and the ugly, so that you have a 360 view of what's going on with you. And it doesn't have to be a long amount of time. For some people, it might only be a day. It could be a week. It could be a month. It could be whatever you need it to be, but it should be done. And it's not something that I'm noticing is just for women. It's funny. I'm recording this on Monday. Sorry, y'all. You know I'm not good at getting these days together. Monday, September the 27th. This is actually early for me to record. I felt motivated and led because it had been on my heart that this was going to be the topic after I saw that post. And I just didn't know how to formulate it. But I was sitting in bed tonight and the words just came to me. So I said, okay. In my notes, I put them aside. I said, let's do this. But anywho, I was reading today the GQ article with Will Smith, and there's, I think, a lot of buzz going on. I saw a little bit on Twitter stuff about Will Smith, about the article, because I think more people were focused on the commentary that Will Smith made in the article in referring to his marriage to Jada Pinkett Smith. And really that commentary was pretty lightweight. So if you're looking for something salacious, it's not there. It's really not. And I don't think he's ever going to give you that. But one thing I did notice in the article that it struck me was that when he turned 50, he took 14 days to himself where he sat in silence and he sat with himself to really process where he was, who he wanted to be. And there also is a lot of commentary about him having to heal through traumas that he experienced in his childhood and how they affected his perception in regards to relationships, etc. So I'm recommending it. One, it's a great read. And two, it also made me want to read his autobiography that is coming out soon. But essentially, he took 14 days to sit with himself so that he could start to do the work, to recognize who he is. Because as he said it, I'm 50, I got to my fuck it 50s, which I am so excited about. I mean, for real, because I'm already at the fresh out of fucks 40, so I can only imagine what fuck it 50 is going to be. It's going to be epic, but I digress. But anywho, he was talking about that, and I said, see, that's another indication. This is a time where we have to sit down and get quiet with ourselves. And I don't think it's exclusive just for those of us who may be a little bit more seasoned or a little bit more mature on the journey of life. I think that if I had thought about that as I was younger, I probably would have incorporated that into my life earlier, because I think, again, it is so important for you just to take moments in different pockets of your life just to get quiet and to sit with yourself, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so in his article, he talked about, how he had to sit there and he had to deal with it. And he talked about the tragedies that he's experienced growing up. He talked about the hardships in his marriage, and he talked about how he contributed to that, unfortunately, through some of the pain. So again, very good article, but again, it shows the power of sitting with yourself. It's not just like, I think a lot of us need to incorporate that more into our life because we have more healing to do. We have more growing to do. And if you don't get quiet with yourself in order to do that, when are you going to do it? And you have to. You are the most important aspect of your life. Yes, you can be everything to everybody else, but just remember, being everything to everybody else without being something to you, without dealing with who you are, is only going to create an empty shell. It may not be right now, but it will catch you at some point in time, and you don't want that. I don't want that for you, because I don't want you to lose who you are. This is the essence of who you are, your soul, your heart, your mind. Celebrate the wins. Celebrate all the things that you have healed from, because this world can be traumatic. And then at the same time, look at where you are on the journey and think about the things that you want to address and start fixing them. And there's no real right or wrong way to do it. I think everyone is going to do what is going to feel most comfortable to them. But I think however you do it, you have to be willing to confront those sides of you that make you very uncomfortable, the sides of you that can be petty, the sides of you that are seeking validation in other people, the sides of you that don't love who you are right now, the skin that you're in, and the sides of you that are just unfulfilled. And be okay with addressing that. along with recognizing that you have really accomplished a lot. Because like I said, I did, as I sat there and thought about, the things of my life that I want to fix, I did have to spend a lot of time thinking, my goodness, I am so grateful for finally growing into the intentional woman that I was born to be. And yes, I had to go through some tragedies to go through it. And I have to admit, some of my tragedies are the things that helped catapult me into the woman that I am right now. Like, one thing I've said, and I don't know if I've ever said this before, but I don't personally feel like I would be the woman that I am in reference to, right, the woman that I am in period right now, the strong woman that I am, the woman who's able to do different things in my life right now, if I had not lost my dad. I think losing my dad and becoming a caregiver to my mom and having my sister with me, it really forced me out of my shell of selfishness into more of a selfless side of myself, and being able to, and giving to people unconditionally. Like, for our love as a family, we love each other unconditionally. It's not like an obligation. This is what we do because I want to do it. And at first it wasn't that way. When I first got started, it wasn't that way. I literally felt resentful and afraid and angry, and I mourned my life because I thought my life was so much better the way that it was before all of this happened. But once I got into it, once I started recognizing who I was called to be, I am called to nurture and to care and to lift up and to speak life into someone else, it spoke life into me. It showed me how much stronger I am versus what I thought I was, and how much more selfless I could be. Losing my dad and being in the situation taught me what I deserve in a husband. And knowing that when I bring someone into the situation, a partner, a husband, he will be exactly what I need. He will be strong. He will be kind. He will be intelligent. He will be giving. He will be all the things that I need. He'll be able to speak life into me, and I will not allow myself to settle for anyone less than that, because I don't deserve that. I had to recognize my worth. And it wasn't like I wasn't raised with people who taught me my worth. My father always spoke life into me. My mother always speaks life into me. But I didn't know it. I was so caught up in what I thought I wanted and who I thought I wanted to be, trying to live somebody else's life, not living my own. And I was not at that point in my journey where I could sit down and get quiet with who I am and recognize my strength. That took many, many years, many, many heartbreaks, and lots of different situations that I'm probably not going to get into right now. But I'm just telling you this to say, it's very powerful when you can sit back and look at that and to see where your strength occurred, and then to be able to give grace and honor in spite of it. I'm just very grateful. So I spent some time thinking about how far I've come and thinking about how far I'm going to go, and how grateful I am to be on this journey, how grateful I am to be evolving, and how I constantly have to make sure that I keep my intention focused, that I keep my heart focused, that I learn to not just mind the business that pays me, but speak life into me the way that I speak life into other people, so that I will continue to evolve and grow, because I still have places inside of me that need to be fixed. I still have darkness, or not necessarily darkness, but doubts that can delay my blessing if I'm not careful. We all do. No one, like I said, has this journey 100% on lock. That's not where we're all at right now. Nobody's at that place, because we're all still on the journey, and life is still throwing things at us, even in seasons of abundance. But make sure that you prioritize moments where you can sit down and get quiet. One thing I will say, though, is as you are doing this and you are trying to be more intentional, please make sure you are cultivating the content. You're cultivating the things that you take in and the people who have access to you. Because remember, you are in this journey trying to grow and to build. So you have to be able to make sure that the energy and the information that you take in is balanced with the ratchet. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying cut all the crazy stuff off that you like, but I'm saying make sure you have enough in there so that the universe and that God and those in your ancestors who are sending you all these messages, you are open enough to be able to receive it. Because like I said, I got all of this just from an Instagram post. And that Instagram post, like I said, was time for me because I got confirmation in other ways. Don't be so closed off to doing what you think you need versus not allowing yourself to be fed into in the ways that will continue to support you on the journey. Don't lose sight of everything that the world is trying, that the universe is trying to tell you, that God is trying to tell you, that your ancestors are trying to tell you. Be open, be receptive. It's just one little thing that you can do that may be able to help change your life, because you never know how one post can change your life. One song, one word, one Bible verse, you just don't know. Be open and receptive to receiving that information, because resources are always around you. And because again, this is your season. So there's always going to be messages out there to help you be able to live the life that you want. And cultivate habits that feed into you. Like I said, I've cultivated this habit recently of reading. I love reading. It's not like I didn't always like reading, but I have to admit I was an Audible girl for quite some time. Now I'm ordering books left and right and just kind of pouring through. Like I just feel this constant desire for knowledge and for words and information, and I'm just absorbing it and going with it and taking it in. And it's not just feeding me on a mental side, it's feeding me spiritually. It's giving me inspiration. It's giving me pleasure and peace. You never know what that could be for you to help you as you are sitting in your quietness and your time with yourself that will help feed you. So I'm saying all that really just to say to be open and receptive, because there are different things that you could be doing that can help you be able to find your way in the journey. And I just want to make sure you all are not closed off to the resources that are around you. And then another thing I would say is don't be afraid of confronting the sides of yourself that need work. Like I mentioned, we all need work. None of us have this thing all together. And when you're confronting those sides of yourself that need work, just remember, you don't have to be so hard on yourself. It's just a matter of saying and taking a step that I want to fix this side of myself, where you want to, speak with yourself in a more loving way. Or you want to make sure that you are taking the blinders off in relationships with other people or with situations, and when they don't serve you, and making subtle changes. It doesn't have to be arguments. It doesn't have to be tears. And it doesn't have to be always harshness. Extend yourself the same love that you extend to other people. Extend yourself the exact same grace that you give other people, because I know for me, I am my harshest critic. There is nothing anyone can say to me that I think will offend me, because I'm always harder on me. And I have learned as I am growing and reading and evolving that I don't have to always be that way. That it's okay, because my best is going to change from moment to moment based upon how I'm feeling. And that doesn't make me a bad person. That doesn't make me any worse for wear. It just means I'm evolving, and I'm not always at what other people may consider their 100%. But as long as it's my 100% or my 70, 80, 60%, it's good enough. And that's all that matters. So just make sure that you are giving yourself that space. And of course, like I mentioned, books. I love reading. But I'm always going to say The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Quick read, to the point, 4 simple ways to change your life. Don't overcomplicate sitting with yourself. Like I said, don't be your harshest critic, but don't turn this into like some long essay or some long exercise. You know who you are. you know certain areas that you need to focus on. Even if you jot them down, like I know for myself, I have on my phone this year, I did a intention board, and I have it on my as my screensaver on my phone. And I literally divided my life into 4 quadrants: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And I have just words that help me, whenever I look at them, remind myself of how I want to live in those areas of my life. And so it's as simple as that. I literally just sat up, I did it, and Canva turned it into a JPEG because I'm a nerd and I love Canva. And I put it on my phone as a screensaver because this is the one thing that I am constantly picking up. So I just need to make sure that I have constant reminders in front of me. Find something that helps you has a reminder for you of what you need to do on the journey, that doesn't make you feel weighed down, that doesn't make you feel like you're a failure. That's really what this is about. You have to find tools when you're sitting with yourself, when you're growing, when you're evolving, that don't make you feel like you're less than. They should make you feel like, you know what, I'm a work in progress. And you can always refer back to it really easily without having to go through 811 things to get to it, to remind you of how far you've gone and how much you've accomplished and how you're doing the work to just keep going. Because that's really what it's about. That's really what this is all about. It's always about keep going. It's always about taking the step. It's always about starting. Just even taking a moment to sit with yourself and think about where you are and what you want to do and how you want to get there. That's a start. And that's a great start because there are a lot of people out there who won't even do that. So give yourself that grace and honor for doing what you're doing right now, because you're doing things that are going to help your life be phenomenal. Don't be surprised by it. Don't be afraid of it. Just embrace it, because sitting with yourself should be the safest thing that you've ever done. So that essentially is this week's episode. It's really about sitting with yourself. I hope you guys give yourself a little bit of grace this week and some time to just reflect on where you are and who you are in this moment, because you will never be this way again, and celebrate yourself. Really give yourself a hug from me, because I am just so proud of where you are right now. And like I said, this is a time of unending abundance. I'm believing great things for each and every one of you. So make sure that you are open and receptive to what you want so that you can receive what you are expecting. Don't close yourself off because you're afraid, or because there's things that that you are harboring in your past, the hurts. Give yourself space and time to heal those things, because you can't be everything to everybody without being something to yourself. So I am truly sending you all prayers and love and hope that you will be something to yourself, that you will sit with yourself, that you will grow, that you will accept this unending time of abundance. I'm believing for you. Make sure you are believing for you too. So if you would like, please don't hesitate to like, share, subscribe, give me feedback. That helps me grow as I am on this journey as well. And I definitely will be back. So far next week, I'm still feeling good. Like I said, I'm recording early, so that's pretty good. I'm on it, but I felt it. And I can't wait to hear your feedback. Please don't hesitate, like I said. You can email me at thewelldonelife@gmail.com, as well as I'll have my social information in the notes. I'll also make sure I share some of those points in the notes as well, because I know I kind of talk really quick. I'm from Brooklyn, and if I get passionate, I just get excited, because I'm just ready for all of us to continue to win and grow together. I know this was a little bit of a shorter episode, but I really hope that I hit the points that you were looking for. And like I said, definitely I'll be back so far next week. But if I change my mind, I'll let you know. And I'm very excited. We're getting ready to go into October. So by the time you guys are listening to this, it'll be October the 2nd. Make sure that you start this last quarter of the year off well. I am wishing all of you peace and love and happiness. We have gone through a lot, so I am believing great things for us all as we end out this year, going into 2022, sending you lots of love and prayers, and I will talk to you soon. Have a great one. Bye-bye.